series Inscriptions takes a number of quite distinct kind of elements and combines them in unlikely combinations. And it works with imagery from museum display cabinets and from also uses these kind of expansive, almost romantic landscapes, and also works with these almost the detritus, or these leftover materials from the studio setting. And it tries to combine them in ways that are almost provisional and quite fragile. And the title of the work comes from this earliest published text on museums, which was called Inscriptions of the Immense Theatre, and it was published in the 1500s. And that kind of forms something like a guide to how to create a private collection or a museum collection. It's thought to be the earliest published text on museology. And in it kind of lays out how to organise and categorise all of the objects and artefacts of the world into these classes and subclasses. And it deliberately mimics a kind of a social system, and it has this very unapologetic imperial agenda, a Western imperial agenda, in how it kind of sets its system up. So I guess I was interested in looking at this in terms of the aftermath of those categories of representation, and how we deal with these classes and subclasses and categories of knowledge and of power, when in many cases they reveal themselves to be kind of culturally damaging and bankrupt. So I was trying to build, I guess, a form of representation which is deliberately maybe fragile and provisional, and acknowledging the gaps and the absences that underpin so much of our familiar cultural representation. So with that, there's basically a photographic digital file that's translated onto a jacquard loom and then produced in relief with wool and cotton. So the surface of that work is, I suppose, very much alive in contrast to that kind of smooth or kind of impenetrable surface that we more readily associate with photography. And I think that question of surface is probably really fundamental to the way that I always work with photography. I'm continually kind of compelled and frustrated by that kind of sealed surface of the photographic image, and I always want to interrupt it in some way. So the method that I chose to kind of interrupt it here is with collage, so literally kind of cutting into the surface of the image and to create new hybrid images through that. So all of the works are defined by this loose, almost gestural use of the collage technique, which allows me to combine elements from very different sources within a single image and to make it maybe less immediately readable.